Are you planning on taking a Costa Cruise but don't know what to expect? Well, stay tuned because today we're going to tell you all you need to know about taking your first Costa Cruise and how to make it the best one ever.
Stay tuned.
Hi everyone, I'm Rick.
And I'm Andrea, and today we are on board of the Costa Toscana, and we'll tell you everything that we have learned from our many cruises on Costa Cruises that will make your cruise the best vacation ever. But first, if you like travel-related videos like this one, now it's a great time to hit the subscribe button down below so you never miss any future videos.
Wow, that's great advice because
Thank you.
Cruising is definitely our most favorite way of travel. Now, by the way, I want to get it out of the way. This video is not sponsored by anyone. We pay cash out of our own pockets for the cruises that we take so that we can provide you our honest and biased opinions.
But if someone wants to offer us a free cruise,
we'll take it.
Take it. All right, so have you been searching about Costa online? You may have found that it has a not-so-great reputation, at least outside Europe. Passengers from North America and England and Australia tend to complain a lot about Costa on places like cruise critics and other online forums. In our opinion, this reputation is not deserved, because these passengers tend to compare Costa with the most common North American cruise lines that are very, very different.
Yeah, that they're accustomed to. Right?
They're accustomed to, but they're different Costa.
Yeah, for context, we've sailed on Princess, MSC, NCL. I've sailed on Royal Caribbean twice. And yes, Costa is different in so many ways. So that's why in this video, we're going to cover all of the main differences about Costa. So you'll be prepared to have
a wonderful time on board. So let's begin our guide with the first tip. English is not the main language spoken on board.
No.
If you're used to cruising on North America cruise line, the first thing that you will notice when traveling on Costa is the fact that English is not the primary language on board. In fact, being an Italian cruise line, on Costa cruise ship, there are several languages spoken. Announcements are often made in Italian, French, German, Spanish, and English, and sometimes in other languages like Russian, Portuguese, and Dutch.
Even Indian on the ship sometimes. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
But what's most important is that pretty much all the staff members speak English, and many speak several other languages as well. Now, one very important thing to know is that Costa has a dedicated host on board for each one of the spoken languages that are on board. And this person is there to help you in your language. So if you speak English, they will help you with anything you need. So we recommend using that service to the maximum extent possible, because if you need help with anything, all you have to do is ask your English host.
Absolutely.
And as a pro tip, these are the ones that you want to make friends with as soon as you get on the ship.
Absolutely. Another important thing to know regarding the language is the fact that the excursions are sold in different languages. And when you book an excursion, you have to select the language you want to take the excursion.
Exactly. That's a very, very good point.
There's only one catch with this. If there are not enough people that book the excursion in English or any other language, it most likely get cancelled or grouped with another language.
Yes.
This problem was more common during the pandemic, when there were not as many English-speaking persons on board. But again, can still happen.
Exactly. Now, today, there's more, but
it can still happen.
It can still happen. I mean, there's definitely more chances that you'll be okay. Lastly, keep in mind that the service staff have to deal with several different languages, and sometimes it's quite challenging for them. So moving on to our next tip on Costa, and that's the food. One thing you're going to immediately notice when traveling on Costa is the food. In fact, the portions on Costa are way smaller than what you'd find on North American cruise lines. But here's the thing, right? So lunch and dinner is meant to be a four-course service. So that means an appetizer, a first course, a second course, and my favorite, a dessert. So you're not going to be getting big plates on these courses, right? But you can always ask more if you want.
Also, we found that the quality of food on board is exceptional. Actually, I think it's very similar to a Michelin star restaurant. In fact, Costa collaborates with some of the world's best Michelin star chefs to create the food that you eat on board. So, keeping this in mind. Also, the selection is excellent and the presentation is always so beautiful.
Yeah. It's no sloppy mess on your plate on Costa Cruises. No way. Now, another thing that you're going to find very different on Costa is that there's no place that serves food 24 hours a day. Well, maybe
the room service.
Service, exactly. So you'll have breakfast in the morning, lunch between about 12 and 2. Now, this is what's different. The buffet serves snacks. They call it merenda between 4 and 5. Then you'll have your dinner at the first seating or the second seating. First seating is at 7 p.m. and the second seating is around 9 p.m.
Absolutely.
So, just keep that in mind.
There are also a couple of venues on board that serve food until very late at night for a small fee, particularly the Salty Beach Burger joint and the pizza place called Pomodoro. Lastly, there are some parties at night that often a very huge buffet around midnight.
Exactly.
So as you can see, if you're used to have your first sitting on board Princess Cruises or other North American cruise line at 4:45, you'll be surprised because this is not going to happen on Costa. You'll have a little snack at the time.
That's so true. Now, we have to mention, as I said earlier, the desserts in the main dining room on Costa. They're the best. They're the best we ever had. They're incredibly tasty. They're beautiful. They're innovative. And also, we found out from the corporate pastry chef that Costa is using natural ingredients and formulates recipes that is designed to use less refined sugar without compromising the taste. It's just as sweet, but they use about 30% less sugar. And this means a healthier dessert that's still delicious. So take it from me, go ahead and have your second.
Third.
Yeah, or third.
By the way, if you'd like more information about booking on Costa Cruises, send us an email. We'll be happy to help you get the best possible information and deal and experience, in our opinion.
Absolutely. By the way, our email is in the description below.
Let's explore our next tip for Costa Cruises, and is things that you have to do on your own.
That's right. You have to do some things on your own.
Yeah. There are a few things on board of that you have to do on your own, and they're not automatically done for you. The first and most important one is the fact that you need to get on board. When you get on board, you have to go to the design kiosk.
Or the designated
kiosk.
Yes.
Sorry about that. And register your credit card. For some reason, this is not automatically for you at the embarkation or online prior departure. So you have to go there, swipe your card, enter your company number, and that's done.
Don't exactly know why, but that is the way it works. You can also go to a machine to pay cash, so you can prepay your onboard expenses. The second thing you have to do on your own is register for the Costa loyalty program called C Club. You can also do this at the time of booking, but you'll actually need to ask for this to happen. Now, later in this video, we're going to touch on some of the most important benefits of the C Club and why you should join if you haven't already done so.
Absolutely. Our next topic about Costa Cruises to know is which package to buy.
Right.
So let's make it simple. When you book a Costa Cruise, be sure to buy the all-inclusive package, if available, at the time of booking.
Right, exactly. Don't wait.
At the time of booking. We strongly recommend you to buy all the inclusive packaging at the time of booking because we think it's the best deal that you can get.
Yeah, well, it is the best deal you can get.
If you don't have the package, you'll have to pay for any drinks on board, including water. Yeah, it's true. Costa does not even serve tap water on board. And that's because on land, Italians don't drink tap water, even though it's perfectly fine and safe to drink.
I know,
I don't know why, but
everything out of plastic bottles.
But if you have an all-inclusive package, you not only have water for free, but also coffee, specialty coffees like cappuccino, lattes. You can have tea, juices, soda, wine, beer by the draft, digestive, and most cocktail included and unlimited.
Yeah. Unlike the
Yeah.
other cruise lines that cap you at like 15 drinks a day or something like that. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just like
Strange.
yeah. Also, don't forget that the gratuities are also included in the all-inclusive package. Now, I understand you might really want to avoid buying the all-inclusive package, and to do so, well, that's okay. You could walk around with your own refillable water bottle, like some people do, and drink it for your entire cruise, and pay for the housekeeping or the gratuities. But for me, this is just not practical. I don't want to think how much every little thing is going to cost every time I tap my card. Now, it's one thing if you don't drink alcohol, right? Because there's other packages that you can choose from. There's water packages, soda packages, there's coffee packages, but they're all limited, meaning there's only a certain number. So for that reason,
It's not a good value.
yeah. Now, in terms of drinks, with the all-inclusive package, you're going to get the My Drinks package, which includes the bottom shelf choices, which are perfectly fine. You know, you're going to get selection of Prosecco, Rosé. You're going to get 3 white wines, 3 red wines, and of course the beer. Now, if you want something a little bit more refined, like the Ferrari, there's a upgraded drinking package called My Drinks Plus. The upgrade is about 21 euros a day on board, but it costs so
Way
much
less.
less if you buy it online before. Only thing is that both passengers in your cabin must do this.
With the My Drink Plus, you'll get better drinks and even freshly squeezed orange juice and wider array of specialty coffee.
Yeah, what were those coffees that they've been bringing us?
Delicious.
The
With the
Cremino
chocolate
or
and-
something? Yeah.
We like it, but to get our money worth, we found that we have to drink a way lot more.
Yeah.
And we tend to upgrade only as a treat, not for every cruise, because it's a lot of drinking.
Exactly. But you know what? On this particular cruise, we decided to go on. All right, time to move on to our next tip about Costa Cruises, and we're going to talk about
Strollers, not walkers. One thing you will immediately notice when sailing on Costa is the fact that average age is much lower than what you see on North American cruise lines,
Yeah.
maybe except Disney. In fact, there are a ton of kids and teenagers on board, especially if you are traveling in the summer when schools are closed,
Yeah.
or during the holidays in the winter for Christmas holidays. Costa has a great kids and teen center, and they do a great job in keeping them entertained and active all day long.
right, exactly. They come back to the
So
room,
tired.
boom, done.
On board, you will see a lot of young family in their 20s and 30s traveling with kids, and they even bring the little ones to the parties with them.
Isn't it incredible?
I know, at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, you see people.
Yeah,
with kids.
they're like the mums with the baby, and it's incredible.
Totally normal.
Yeah. Now, if you don't like to be around young children, we understand. In this case, we strongly suggest you to consider cruising in the spring or the fall when schools are still open, or take a longer cruise, like a 14-day or more cruise, because we found that most families with kids, they book 1-week cruises and not more than that.
Yep.
Now, moving on to our next tip about Costa Cruises, and that's ships are alive at night.
Yeah, Costa is a more cruise line and runs ships like the one we are on, the Toscana, or the Costa Smeralda, the Costa Pacifica, the Fortuna, the Favolosa, the Fascinosa, the Diadema, and the Deliziosa. They also have the Costa Firenze, but it's being transferred to Carnival Corporation.
Exactly.
Now, some of our fellow YouTubers call Costa Italy on the sea, and we think this is a great definition, especially when we talk about parties and nightlife.
Yes.
Yes, on Costa, everything happens late at night. Most parties don't even start before 11:30 p.m.
Yeah.
But believe us, when we say parties on Costa are epic.
They really are, absolutely. Actually, we've never seen so many people dancing around and having such a great time like they do on board Costa ships. And even if you don't like those huge parties, there's always a lot of fun for everyone of all ages. Between 10 p.m. until really late, there's always something happening on board, from dancing to karaoke to learning how to juggle, and of course, everything in between.
Our next tip for traveling on Costa Cruises is to book your excursion in advance. This is a tip that is valid for every cruise line, not just Costa. But because the best tour usually gets sold out first, you should book them in advance. On Costa, however, you have a huge advantage in that you can pre-book all your tours, but you don't have to pay until you get on board. And then you can cancel them with no penalties up to 3 days prior departure.
Yep. Not when you're on board.
No, not when you're on board.
Once you're on board, you have to be sick and you have to get a medical note not to get it.
But before, you can cancel them and not have to pay. So if it's a particular excursion you would like to book as soon as possible, because otherwise it's going to get sold out. Also, if the excursion is late getting back to the ship will wait for you. So
yes, exactly, like our last excursion in Abu Dhabi, for instance. Speaking of excursions, you might find that you need cell service, like me, while you're away. Now, if roaming is expensive on your carrier, I'd recommend picking up an eSIM for the countries that you're visiting. And you can often get an eSIM for around $10 or less for data for a week. And we'll leave a link in the description for more information about that. All right, so moving on to our next tip on board Costa, and that's everything on board is European.
But being an Italian ship, everything is European on board. There are usually 2 electrical outlets in the cabin by the desk, and we require a converter if you are from North America, Australia, or the UK. Also, all the times on board, like opening hours, excursions, departure, all on-board times, etc., are listed in the 24-hour format.
Yep.
So, for example, 17:30 is 5:30 p.m.
Yep.
So try to familiarize yourself with this before departure so you don't have any problem while you're on board.
Yeah, of course. And of course, lastly, temperatures on board are listed in Celsius, and distances and weights are all metric. So if you happen to see a 900-gram tomahawk steak on the menu, well, that corresponds to a 30-ounce half of a cow. Well, steak back home. All right, so our next tip about Costa Cruises is to download the app.
Yeah, the Costa app is a must-have when you're cruising with Costa.
Yeah.
On the app, you can check the menus, you can book reservation, you can see the daily schedule, you can connect to the internet, you can see your bill, and so much more.
You can do it all, right?
Yeah, you can also message fellow cruises, and the message gets pushed, so it's very, very important.
Exactly.
And most importantly, you can watch the safety drill at embarkation without having to gather in the theater with hundreds of other passengers.
Yes, exactly. Well, you do have to go and scan your card at the muster station, but it's a very, very fast. Exactly.
So we know that the Costa app is super important, but until now, at the time of recording, it's not available in all app stores around the world.
Exactly.
And most interesting, it's not available in North America just yet. We spoke with an app manager on board of the Costa Toscana, and she assured us that it should be available at the end of January 2024.
Exactly. Now, this is really great news because the app is an essential tool for the cruise. And I think it's a really big shame that it's not available to folks, from the States, at this time, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you don't have the app on your phone, you're going to have to rely on what's called the Oggi a Bordo. And this is a daily program that's delivered to your cabin that tells you everything that's happening on board with the times, as well as your arrival, your leaving, all of that sort of stuff. Also at embarkation, you will find what's called a welcome kit in the cabin, and it will have all sorts of information about life on board, how to connect to the internet, food experiences, packages that are available, and so on and so forth.
Our next tip about Costa Cruises is don't forget your essentials.
Not a good idea to forget.
No. Yeah. There's only a limited selection of toiletries and feminine products in the stores available on board for purchase.
Yep.
Not a problem if your cruise is port intensive, like in the Mediterranean, when every day you are in port, you can go and buy it. But if you have a several day cruise and you have several sea days, be sure to pack everything you possibly need and more,
Yeah.
like medication, toothpaste, deodorant, and so on, because you will not find that many on board.
Yeah, good points. All right, so the next thing to know about Costa Cruises, and that's there's no pressure for you to do anything or buy anything that you don't want to. One thing that you'll immediately notice when traveling on Costa is the fact that nobody is going to pressure you to buy anything, right? They're not going to try to upsell you anything. Well, if they do, they're not going to be very pushy about it. There's also a few specialized packages or items that you can buy, and you can decide on your own if you want to buy them or not. Similarly, nobody is going to make you try and do something that you don't want to do. They might suggest you to join an activity, but it's usually a very gentle suggestion.
Kind of like
right?
you,
Kind of like me, what?
trying to sing at the voice, but nobody didn't want to do it.
Yeah, that's probably a good thing.
And by the way, if you don't want to do your own thing at your own pace, give us a like on this video. Time to talk about our next tip, that's boarding. It happens every day.
Yes, boarding is every day.
Every day. One thing you would notice right away is that passengers embark and disembark almost in every port. It's especially common in the Mediterranean itineraries and the Emirates itineraries.
Yep.
This procedure gets some great advantages. First, boarding procedures are much quicker because usually there's less people boarding, and usually boarding happens very fast. Second, there are more choices of ports to board from, making it easier to pick the port that best suits the passenger. For example, if the flight is non-stop from United States to Rome, it's better to embark Rome than anything else.
Exactly.
Third, usually it's not necessary to disembark early in the morning. You can typically stay on board until around noon because the steward don't need to rush to the cabin.
So the disadvantage, though, to boarding in every port is that this procedure requires that passengers, they do the safety drill every day.
Yep.
And every day you see a bunch of people walking around with life jackets, and you may also hear the safety announcement, played in multiple languages every day as well. Next up, we suggest you to experience as much as you can on board. Now, even though the food in the main dining room is amazing, we strongly recommend you to try some of the specialty restaurants. First, you should try the pizzeria. In our opinion, the pizza on Costa is exceptional, right? It's actually better than most pizzas that you would find in Italy, or at least on land in Italy. Now, the pizzeria is usually not included in the fare, but the price for the pizza is actually very reasonable and totally worth it. And also, once you reach gold or platinum like us, you will get a free pizza per cruise, among so many other benefits.
We also really like the Tapagnacchi restaurant on board. It's usually really fun and totally worth it. Another good option, especially at lunch, is the sushi bar called the Sushino. They offer an all-you-can-eat option for a very reasonable price, and the sushi is actually exceptionally good.
Right, and of course, don't forget Archipelago. This is a Michelin-starred themed restaurant with
Just
three chefs, exactly, and it's a set menu, and apparently it's amazing, but we've never been. Next up on the list, we want to say that Costa has great value for money. Overall, Costa offers exceptional value for your money. In fact, on the cruise we're on right now, we paid about $120 per person per day with the all-inclusive package. So that works out to only about $120 at the time of the recording. Meaning, with the drinking package and the gratuities, it's a really good price for an all-inclusive holiday.
A true all-inclusive holiday.
Not only that, it's worth mentioning that excursions on Costa are also very well priced, and you can even purchase a package, the cruise of packages, that includes 4 half-day excursions that you can choose from, and 25% discount for all of the other excursions.
Last but not least, make sure to sign up for the Sea Club. The Sea Club is Costa loyalty program and is mentioned, as we mentioned before, you have to sign up for it yourself. You're not automatically enrolled like it happens in the other cruise lines.
That's right.
It is very important to sign up for the Sea Club Because it offers and allows you to have some of the excellent discount on board that only a member can get.
Yep.
For example, the gourmet experience on the menu are up to 50% off if you belong to the C Club, regardless of your status level. So if you're gold or you're bronze,
Yeah.
you can get up to 50% on all these beautiful dishes.
Absolutely. Well, folks, we hope that we've answered at least most, if not all, of the questions that you might have about Costa. As we said before, if you'd like some help booking a cruise or anything else, feel free to leave a comment or email us. Our email is in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in our next video.
Ciao.
Ciao.